Hi, I'm Graham McBain. I have been living in this neighborhood for 8 years now, something like that. The first couple of years was sort of pretty lonely, but now we have this really great community. So my wife is going to a book club later this evening. I was invited to go over to my friend's house tonight to watch football because we have a football uh, fantasy league that we're doing. That same person, we're going to a comedy club earlier this week. I had a neighbor over to have their kid spend the night. I came home last night and my kids weren't even here. They were store and they had did it through the backyard. And I was like, where are my kids? And someone's like, oh, they're next door getting played with. So we have this really like rich tapestry. And I saw another neighbor at the grocery store yesterday and she was like, oh, sorry, I didn't get to make it to that thing and blah, blah, blah. And we're like holding up the line and it's like, well, sorry, we live near each other and we're all friends. So yeah, okay. But it's really great. Lots of different people from lots of different backgrounds. There's lots of like families with kids that have really close relationships, and there's people that are a little bit older, but they're still had some relationships. There's a guy who keeps trying to get me to go to trivia, and his kids are all in college. And then there's people that are much, much older. There's a woman who's 4 houses down who's originally from India. Her husband passed away a couple of years ago, and she came and told me that she doesn't have people to hang with, and would I be her friend? And then it turns out that she's saying that to everybody and she has tons of friends, but she's just wonderful. And it's taken a lot of work, but we've done a lot of things to get there. So that's where we are now. But where did it start? It started with my wife walking down the street with her son, and this woman, Heather, who is wonderful, really the soul of the neighborhood, like came running out of her house and was like, you have a baby, I have a baby. That's the kid who slept over on Friday. My oldest son and her oldest son are really close in age. And she was like, oh, there's a few other families in the neighborhood. And so we got invited to like a birthday party here. And we felt really awkward because it's like these people all must know each other. We're the new people. We're so strange. And then it turned out like everybody kind of knew each other, but nobody was really doing anything about it. And so one summer, there's a family that does a 4th of July barbecue. Like, shouldn't we do more stuff? And so we created this like summer of games, and I roped people into it. Basically, what it did was we had a few families that we knew, and so I invited them all over for dinner and to basically say like, is this crazy? And everybody was like, no, that would be fine. And I was like, great. So what are you gonna do? And they're like, oh shit. So we brought up the calendar. We sort of picked what would be fun to do, and then I just assigned everybody a night. We have the Facebook calendar, so I just created the events on Facebook and made it easy. Some people aren't on Facebook, so they have to be sort of added ad hoc. Once everybody decided on it, then I went and made flyers, and then that's when I put my kids in a wagon so I didn't look scary and wheeled them around and knocked on every door that I didn't know. I was like, hi, I'm your neighbor. I'm not selling anything. We're not swingers. This isn't a religious thing. Let's be friends. And I gave them a flyer, and the flyer was like, here's all this cool stuff that's happening. Here's a Facebook group where you can go and connect and get to know each other. There's a trick with door knocking, which is that you knock on the door, you take a few steps back so that you're not in their face. You put your hands out so they see that you don't have a weapon. And then you start with a joke so that they know that you're not trying to sell anything. It's usually about like, I'm not here to sell anything. This isn't, it's not religious or whatever. Very, very fun thing that happened was I saw this new family once. I went up to them. It turns out it's somebody I knew from like 10 years ago. I now have this like old friend of mine. But yeah, then it was just sort of reminding people that it was happening and posting on social media about it. I saw pictures of the first one and it was abysmal. Like my backyard was not what it is now. I like spray painted stuff on the raw dirt, but like the kids had a blast and it was like an egg contest and all kinds of stupid things. But people come and go, but those events are things that like really stick in people's minds. So that's really how the summer of games came together. And it's scary at first to knock on a stranger's door and be like, hi, but most of the people were like, oh wow, this is so great. Like, thank you. I'm so glad somebody is stepping up to do this because this is great. I always say, like, you look out your window, you see someone drive by and you think, oh, that person has a full, rich life, and I would be annoying and I would look like such a loser if I asked them to be my friend. It's like, no, they're desperate for you to go be their friend. After that, I handed out that flyer. Things really started to snowball, and the kids really become really great friends. that was the first like real impetus that like made it a neighborhood. Like we decided to be a community. Since then, tons of stuff has happened. There are multiple events that happen per year. So I host a summer games party. This year we did a cardboard boat building contest, and it was actually mildly successful. There's another woman who does a bacon party, which is great. It's literally just bring a food item that includes bacon, and then we'll vote on who's the best. There's a parents' night party. There is coming up a harvest bake party where everybody has to make a pie, and then we vote on whose pies are the best. No longer can you make a banana cream pie because it wins every year because it's the best pie. And then we have a Halloween block party coming up, and we're doing a progressive cocktail that's mostly more for adults. And so it's really been this incredible warm experience where it's probably like the most ROI on putting myself out there that I've ever had in my life. I don't know. I think like if you've ever gotten over the hump of going out and asking somebody on a date, but short of that person being the person you marry, this is the most consequential thing you can do in terms of like getting over your social anxiety and reaching out and connecting with other people, because you end up getting this enormous feedback loop.
I know you have a weekly front yard happy hour. Could you break down the steps you took to make that happen?
We just started hanging out in our front yard. We've spent all this money to renovate our backyard, and then our kids only want to play in the front yard.
Wow.
Of course. And so, but we ended up we put a table and chairs out there that we got for free from up the street. Literally somebody put it out and I was like, those look good. And then we just started hanging out there. And then my neighbor next door started coming over on Fridays. And then the other neighbor across the street saw that the two of us were out there, and then he started just coming over.
Yeah.
And then like, well, I guess this is the front yard happy hour now. And so I just started posting that like, hey, front yard happy hour in my front yard. And now people just come over on Fridays, whenever we don't have it, everyone's bummed. Having a consistent thing that you invite people to is actually super important. I read this woman, she was like, if you want to make friends as an adult, it's a really simple pattern. It's hold a recurring event. Every time you meet a new person, tell them about your recurring event, get their phone number, tell them it's no pressure because it's recurring, come whenever you want. And then text them the day of the event or near it, say like, hey, this thing's coming up. We'd love to have you come. No worries if not. But it's a really great way to just build a habit for people. And then it's a low pressure way to do it. So if you invite someone over for dinner, like you got to pick a day, but it's like everybody's free on a Friday sometimes, or a Tuesday, whatever day you pick. So just pick a day and people will show up. And it's also a great way for you to, if you have kids, not have to think about what you're going to do. My kids are sad when it's not front yard happy hour, even though it's a day when I have to do the least amount of parenting, because like it's just them and other kids in the front yard. I don't have to do anything.